Hey everybody, welcome to Snow Talk. This is Wave 3 News meteorologist Brian Good. And we are, of course, keeping an eye on a lot going on in the next 14 days. This is the way it's going to be probably the rest of the winter. But we need to take everything one step at a time. The first step is going to be our rain system that's coming in now over the next 2 days, how it's going to impact us. Then we'll get into the discussion for the weekend and Thanksgiving week. So 3 pieces, pretty much the video blog today. Let's start you off, though, with on the monitoring board, still at 2 items. The dates have changed. One date is hardcore. That is Saturday. I'll explain why that's on there. And then I've pushed back the second date period range to after Thanksgiving. Likely that weekend, if not into the first few days of December, the way it's looking. But that's the 2 areas that I'm focused on later on in the blog. We'll get to in a second. First off today, dew point spread's pretty dramatic. I'm keeping an eye on the dew point. Anytime you get the actual temperature of the dew point pretty far apart, when you check those in the current conditions, it tells us the atmosphere is dry. So a lot of this is not reaching the ground. If it is, it's just sprinkles. So this is really a lot of this moisture is being wasted on the dry air, but it is moistening the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is absorbing it. And eventually it'll get itself and the dew point closer and closer together, and that'll set the stage for the rain event that'll take place for Wednesday. So a lot of you seeing just clouds, but it is not too bad temperature-wise, 57 currently. Here's the actual system that we're going to be tracking for Wednesday. It's not even close to us. It's way back here across the 4 quarters. And this is just the warm air advection ahead of it being, sitting in the showers. The warm front itself is pretty much stretched out right into this area. We will see that pass through tomorrow morning with another shower chance to our north. And then really we just got to wait for this bad boy here to our west to really roll out and send that band of rain ahead of it that'll be developing in the next 24 hours into our direction. So it's not going to be all at once. It's going to come in little pieces, and then we'll get the main event. All right. As far as alerts go, already active. Got a tornado watch already out in the panhandles of Texas, Oklahoma. Supercells likely in that area today. Flash flood watch is already out all the way into West Kentucky. Now they don't go further to the east, and I don't think they will. And I'll explain why that is as well in a few moments. But also notice once again the Rockies, including Denver, and the line for some heavy snow. Here's the SPC outlook today, enhanced area, almost where the watch is, the eastern half of the tornado watch anyway. And then tomorrow, this is significant because the enhanced area is along the Gulf Coast. And this is why I think it's going to play a role in our rain and our strong storm potential for Wednesday, because the potential here for more and more thunderstorms to be found on the southern end of this band as it pushes to the east will steal a lot of the moisture from reaching us, and it will lessen somewhat of the dynamics to really cause us any problems when it comes to severe weather. So it's mainly going to be a southern system here. I would say I-40 south is the main zone that we'll see this severe potential out of this one as it comes through, mainly just rain and high wind for us. So let's go through Futurecast. This afternoon, as you can see, it's rain just kind of breaking up, the sprinkles. That trend will continue. Notice the numbers, though. 10 o'clock, 10:39. We do cool down because it's evaporative cooling. Anytime you get an atmosphere that has got a dew point spread, is what we call that, between the temperature and the dew point, when it moistens up, there's an evaporation process that's happening, so the temperature will cool this evening. But once that happens and we get to the saturation point, the opposite will kick around and we'll begin to warm things up. Back into the mid-50s tomorrow morning. Here is the warm front. Right now, it looks like anything as far as heavy rain will be real close to the Wabash area. May clip Louisville for tomorrow morning, but a lot of it's going to be aimed for Indiana. But once that warm front passes through, get ready for fast warming and maybe some sunshine. I'm going to still stick with it 75 for a high. I still think we'll get some breaks in the cloud cover to develop. The models are saying 71. I'm sticking to 75 for a high, and that's going to be quite warm and dry. So really a nice looking tomorrow afternoon coming our way. It will be windy. Keep that in mind. In fact, it's going to stay windy and warm all night, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Temperatures not dropping much, probably mid-upper 60s. That's it. The main rain band then should arrive as we head into Wednesday. And notice it has kind of a squall line feature to it. And the reason why it's a little more enhanced on the backside and at the front side, like what you normally would see with a line of showers and thunderstorms, is that the wind and the instability are displaced on this system. We may warm up, by the way, ahead of the rain band by late morning, but once the rain hits, we'll cool things down. And then here it comes again, the main rain band, just in time for late morning, early afternoon. So it's most of Wednesday is going to be a rainy day for us. Let me cover rain totals real quick. And as I mentioned before, Well, I didn't include it in there, but it's basically spent about 1 to 2 inches for us. So nothing off the chart. Now here's the wind. Again, a lot of wind to work with here. Tremendous amount of wind, really. So yes, it's very windy aloft. It's going to be windy here at the surface, just like the past couple of systems have been. But notice this little pocket of stronger winds here in West Kentucky. That's important because at that point in the day, that is where the actual instability is. The Cape is there. And that's why SBC kind of stops the outlook here and doesn't stretch it all the way over to our area. Because the strongest winds are over us when we have less instability. I know it seems weird because it's heating of the day kind of a scenario, but that's how everything is lining up, the way the data is coming in. We'll watch it carefully, and still you could get some wind gusts that could cause some minor wind damage, but mainly just a batch of heavy rains were expected as this passes through here. Here are the PWatts, stands for precipitable water. Anytime we get to the yellow, it's telling us that over 2 inches of rain potentially in 1 hour's time. We were in that zone last week for this event. Today, we're not. It's way to our south. And again, that's because the thunderstorms, if they hug the Gulf Coast, will likely steal a lot of that moisture, and that will cut down any type of flooding potential for our area. All right. Then we get into this weekend. And this is where we are getting a front that is going to dive down as we head into Saturday. So Thursday and Friday look okay. But Saturday morning, there is going to be a front that's going to move in, and if it holds the timing as it stands now, which would be about sunrise Saturday, the atmosphere would be cold enough, just enough, and I mean right on the edge, to support some snowflakes mixed in with the rain. The more north you are, the higher the chance is. The more south you are, the more chance it'll be liquid. It's not a lot of moisture. It's a narrow ribbon, really. But there is a chance for our first snowflakes to fall mixed in with some rain early Saturday morning as it passes through. And it's quick. I mean, once it passes by, we'll probably get back out in full sun by midday. So if you sleep in on Saturday, you'll likely miss this if the speed holds up. If it slows down even more than indicated, it'll likely be just pure rain. It'll be too warm for snow if it comes in by late morning or midday. Snowflake potential is off the table. So it's not a high confidence event, but there is a chance for a few snowflakes mixed in here as we hit it early on Saturday. And you see the system here in the model. Again, you'll see it move in across the plain states, stream off right through the Ohio Valley, and aim itself toward the eastern side of the Great Lakes. It's got a little tail of moisture with it. And when you look at, even at the 700 millibars, which is my favorite area to look at for the reality of moisture to be reached to the ground, there is a decent little ribbon. I mean, it's a very small ribbon. That's when we break out in sunshine real quick after it passes by. So again, it's a very narrow window near sunrise Saturday morning. The ensembles back up the idea of cold weather for this weekend. That is for sure. Even the Canadian model, I haven't seen the ensembles yet on the Euro. They're still running right now, by the way. But even the Canadian is backing up the idea that it's going to be a cold weekend ahead for our area. Okay, when it comes to the Euro on the 700, I just checked it. It is showing a colder system on the operational model anyway. And it, too, does show a very narrow ribbon of moisture early Saturday morning. So because of that decent agreement this far out, it's only Monday, I'm going to go ahead and add in a small chance for some light rain showers, maybe mix with snowflakes Saturday morning. See, I told you guys, it wasn't that much to get excited about. But I know for snowflakes, everybody gets excited. Just keep in mind, it was a year ago we were under a winter storm watch, preparing for heavy snow to move into the Ohio Valley. So this is nothing like that, like last year. But our first flakes may fall this weekend, but we'll keep an eye on it. Something that our friend, you all may know, a good friend of mine, Mark Jarvis, the Weather Service, he talks about this a lot. And he pointed out, it's a good point, the EPO, which is basically like the NAO of the Pacific Ocean, not the Atlantic, the Northern Atlantic. Anytime the EPO goes negative, you get high pressure around Alaska. And that's a good sign that this is going to push cold air to the eastern half of the country. And when we see that potential, the EPO goes negative. And notice it's been positive for a while, but the EPO on both the models, in Euro and GFS, is tanking as we head toward this weekend here. So there is some support for that cold shot this weekend. The other, PNA's not exactly lining up. Neither are the other two. They're kind of just balancing the line here once you look down the road. As far as Thanksgiving goes, I am going to trend warmer for Thanksgiving. Now it looks like these are ensembles from the GFS. It does show the pattern relaxing to the cold and warming things up. Notice how tight the gradient is, though. So a good sign of a storm developing here in the Plain States, Thanksgiving week. The latest Canadian ensembles for Thanksgiving, same thing. Easing on the cold, so warming things up here in the Ohio Valley, but a deep storm developing here as we head into Thanksgiving week, probably Wednesday or the day before, or Thanksgiving itself, which means we would get rain Thanksgiving if this holds true, and there may be something wintry behind it. That's why they pushed the dates back to after Thanksgiving. We'll keep an eye on it. Stay tuned.